Okay, my darlings, here we are. Here we are. Today is November 2nd, and it is Dia de Muertos for many traditions and cultures, Day of the Dead. And this follows in the Western world, in the Americas, Halloween, or All Hallows Eve, or Samhain. Now, this is why I'm making this video, because I got so many questions and there was so much confusion around what Samhain is and what the purpose of it is. Why do we celebrate it? What is the connection between Halloween and Samhain, or Dia de Muertos, or, you know, any other traditions where we honor the relationship between the physical world and the non-physical world. So first of all, it's not Samhain, which is oftentimes when they see the words in the way that it's spelled out, that's what you want to say, and that's fine. But it is not Samhain, it is Samhain. And both Samhain and Dia de Muertos, exactly what I just said, they honor the relationship between the physical world and the non-physical world, okay? So why does that matter to us? Well, it matters because the reality is that we are not living in just a physical world. We still have, and in fact, we have the greatest amount of connection with energetic, metaphysical beings, entities, frequencies. Oftentimes in these traditions, we will honor our ancestors, both ancestors that have come before us and ones that will come after us. But the bottom line is that we are honoring a non-physical world. And there's really important teaching in that for us because it reminds us of how non-physical we are in addition to our physical world. So there's no disrespect, there's no problem with being a human in these physical forms at all. I just want you to know that it's not only about that. Just like the airwaves, just like electromagnetic frequencies, just the same way that your TV works from a connection, from a point beyond where the TV currently is, our emotions, our hearts, our relationships, our human consciousness works the same way. So Dia de Muertos today, you know, we honor our ancestors. Oftentimes in that tradition, you will put together a whole ofrenda, which is an altar for your ancestors. You put out their favorite foods, you decorate it with marigolds, you do all kinds of particular things to honor them and to welcome them back into your space. A little thing to note for any of you that have altars year-round, not just on Dia de Muertos, but leave a candle going on your altar at all times. Keep the flame alive, keep the fire alive, keep the heat and the warmth there. That's what creates activity on your altar for all your prayers and all your requests and your petitions. So we have our altar, we have our ofrenda, which is not a word that is of my lineage. That is, you know, the Hispanic culture. And we connect with our ancestors. We say thank you for the work that they put into place on behalf of us. And then we gratefully take that and we keep working so that we can put a future path in place for those that will come after us, for our children, for our children's children. And that's what Samhain is about as well in the Celtic and Wiccan tradition. It's about honoring our connection where the veil of consciousness is really thin. And the truth is that it's always rather thin. It does take us inner work, personal work to experience that on a daily basis. But there are points in time where the veil itself is just thinner for everyone. And Samhain is one of those times. And so we celebrate that, and we celebrate the veil and the portal being so thin because it allows us to honor and celebrate that which is gone by the wayside and that which is being born new. So in the pagan tradition, in the Wiccan Celtic tradition, Samhain is actually considered the witch's new year. That is where our cycle has kind of come to a point of completion. That is where we honor, hey, there are parts of ourself that has now died. There are parts of ourself that have now become ready to be released, to become buried, to be put back into the earth so that the earth can take the nutrition from it and birth something new, you know, in the springtime. And we do have additional Sabbats, which is the word for holidays. We do have additional Sabbats between now and the springtime that continue to honor that process. But the whole point of me making this video and sending this back out and giving you an extra chance to pick up the Essential Feminine videos is because not everyone really understands what's going on. And the notion of Dia de Muertos and Samhain is to help us as a human race, and a human species, no matter what race we are, that's probably a better way to say it. As a human species, it helps us understand our relationship with the non-physical. It helps us understand ourselves as elemental, energetic beings. And that's really what Essential Feminine is all about, is helping you understand your role in your relationship with masculine and feminine energy. But in order to understand masculine and feminine energy, you have to just understand energetics. And in order to understand energetics, you have to just understand the elements. And in order to understand the elements, you have to learn what these ceremonies and these traditions are about, why they matter, why it's not just about putting on a mask and dressing up like, a sexy Batman, and going to the club and twerking it out. Like, that's not always what it's about. In fact, it's very little about that. There's a lot of medicine, there's a lot of threads in there. But beneath all of that, what I want you to understand about this period of time is to not be afraid of the darkness, to not be afraid of taking off your mask, to be willing to lay down that which you keep between your true self, your essential self, and the outside world. What I also want you to remember about this period of time is how fulfilling it can be to say thank you to that which has come before this moment, whether it's your ancestors, whether it's old parts of yourself, to be grateful and to celebrate all of the components of your life that have brought you to this point, that have brought you to this threshold of death and rebirth, because it is only through aspects of energy dying or being recycled, put back into the earth, that something new can be born. And we all know this. We've had experiences of this, right? Where, a family member passes away and a new baby is born at the same time. That's not an accident. It's not an accident. Nothing is an accident. Everything in our world is so beautifully designed, just the same way the seasons are, just the same way that the elements move together, just the same way that the planets orbit and spin. It's all perfectly designed, and we are a part of and an extension of that perfect design. So at this time of Samhain, of Dia de Muertos, and with this offering of the core teachings, the core videos of Essential Feminine, I invite you in. I invite you in to better understand yourself as an energetic, frequency-based being. I'm telling you, that awareness and that willingness to step into all parts of our existence, both the shadows and the light, is what really, really nourishes us. It's what really, truly, genuinely feeds us in all the ways that we look for money and food and sex and alcohol and partnership and possessions. We look to all of that to feed us, because really underneath that surface, underneath that physical existence, we're looking for that energetic frequency nourishment. And we can get that from everything around us. We can get that from the celebrations of death, because ceremony is nourishing to us as a people, as a human species. Ceremony is nourishing to us. That's why we love to play. We love to dress up. We love to embody all these different archetypes, and that's kind of the beauty of it, the death and the rebirth. So while I sit here and say, please be willing to drop your masks, please be willing to take off your costumes, the death of that ego, the death of that old self, the rebirth is also, please be willing to step into this new regal costume. Be willing to put on a mask and play the role of the healer, the lover, the powerhouse, the fire, the storm, the peace, the water. Allow yourself to be reborn into a different archetype for a period of time, because that's possible too. And that's part of the healing, and that's part of the nourishment. As extensions of source energy, we are imbued and we are endowed with the ability to create. So if you want to create a new sense of self, create it, be it, step into it. That's the beauty of understanding yourself as an extension of source energy, is you can be and do anything. But you've got to start with a very realistic view and perspective of where you are currently standing and how hungry you might be, how malnourished, tired, and depleted, disconnected you might be. All of those things you can find in these Essential Feminine Core teaching videos. So, happy Samhain, a couple days late. Happy Dia de Muertos, current day. And if you have any interest in learning more, go ahead and click the link and grab these videos. They're only going to be available for another 24 hours at this rate. And then after that, the price goes up for the full program to $399. So if you want to just dip your toe in and have something to listen to and ponder, grab the videos. They download right to your phone, right to your computer, wherever you want to keep them. And investigate. Open yourself up to what is possible when you step into the shadows, the darkness. That's potential life in there. And you'll learn all about that if you watch the video. So I adore you. Thank you for being here. I'll see you at winter solstice.